And so let me start by introducing myself. So I am Dr. Janice Badnock. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, and I'm very pleased that you can spend a few moments, up to 2 hours with us so that we can brief you on the Faculty of Science and Technology and its offerings. You will hear information about our programs at the undergraduate level, but you will also hear a bit about us and how we are offering programs at the graduate level. So depending on which direction or what age or what program you're interested in coming into, you can get specific information about that program. Now, we have quite a number of faculty and staff that we want to introduce you to. Some of them are unable to turn on their cameras, but they should be able to speak loudly, while others will be able to at least give you a wave. So in no particular order, I'd like to introduce the 2 deputy deans. So the first one, Dr. Darren Brown, and second, Dr. Shane Austin. So Shane, I think you are visual first.
Yeah, perhaps. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I hope we can have an informative session. Can't wait to meet you all.
Excellent. And Dr. Darren Brown, if you are able to also, if you are on, I think he is on the call. I think he was there earlier. If not, I think he'll join us after. You will also meet the heads of departments. We have 2 major departments, and you'll see a little bit more about that in my presentation. But just to start the ball rolling, we have Dr. Thea Scanterbury-Manning, who is
Hi,
one
guys.
head. Go ahead.
I hope you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. And then Dr. Peter Shamey, who's the head of Computer Science, Math, and Physics.
Hi, Dean. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We can
I
hear
can
you.
click on, I'm thinking just a little bit. I'm not sure if the camera will work. Hi,
Yeah, it
everyone.
surely did. Absolutely
right.
did. Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Shamey. You will also see, and I think I'm seeing her when I go down the chat, Miss Kathy-Ann Caesar, who I think may now be coming in, but if she is, I'll give her a moment to get settled. But Miss Kathy-Ann Caesar, you will also hear from her with regard to meteorology. Ms. Caesar, are you present yet? Not quite settled. And then rounding up the faculty, and of course you'll let me know if I'm missing anyone. There's Miss Kay Brown, who is one of our admin assistants in the faculty office.
Good evening, everyone.
Fantastic. Miss Lisa Ann Rollins, who is administrative assistant, projects and planning. Miss Rollins, are you able to say? I'm not hearing her. I'm sure she'll come in whenever she can. And then we also have a lineup that takes us outside of the faculty. I'm still checking to see if there's any other staff members in the faculty, if anybody else can help me before we move on to representation from CERU. Ms. Caesar, are you able to say a word?
Pleasant afternoon, everyone. My apologies for being late. I am definitely happy to be here to welcome prospective new students. And if you have any questions to do with meteorology, I am right here and willing to answer those questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then as I scroll back up, we have representation from student admissions, Ms. Jordan.
Good evening, everyone.
Great. Is there anyone else from your office that is on the call?
No, please.
Okay, so Ms. Jordan, you want to give your official title?
I am the temporary assistant registrar in the Student Affairs Admissions Office.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And then we have CERU. So the assistant registrar, the senior assistant registrar for CERU is Ms. Pat Atherley, but I don't think she has joined the call yet. So is there anyone else from CERU that just wants to introduce themselves? I see Rose Bell.
Good afternoon. A warm welcome from the Student Enrollment and Retention Unit.
Thank you very much. And then Althea.
Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome.
Great. And then from Graduate Studies and Research, School for Graduate Studies and Research, do we have Mr. Ellis on the call? Okay, so I'm not seeing Mr. Ellis there. We also have, Rose, is Mr. Ellis there?
No, I have not seen him as yet.
Okay, great, but great to see you. All right. We also have some student leaders, and what I'm going to do is, as I go through my presentation, I will get to a point where there's a slide on the student clubs and societies. And so at that point in time, I'm going to formally introduce some of those student leaders. So unless I missed anyone, and somebody can let me know if there's anyone additional that I did not remember to introduce. Good evening. So if not, please permit me to start sharing my screen. And then can you let me know if you're seeing the presentation view or the full view?
Presentation view.
So you're seeing presentation view, which is not what I want you to see. Okay. Are you seeing the full screen now?
Oh,
No,
I have to
no,
go
Dean,
back.
I think
Yeah,
it was the other way
exactly
around.
Other way around,
Why you-
okay.
Other way around. Yeah.
Why
The
you-
other way around. Yes, right.
All right, no
The other way around.
problems. I
There we
will
go.
make that swap again. So now are we seeing what we were supposed to see?
Correct.
Yes, we're
Yes.
good. We're good. Thank you.
Okay, so just for the next few slides, I wanted to introduce you formally to the Faculty of Science and Technology. Please feel free at any point in time to drop a question in the chat. We have quite a number of qualified persons here who can start to answer some of those questions. But please be patient. We're going to tell you generally about the faculty and its offerings before we get to the specifics of your particular application. We know that that's always a hot topic. Where's my application in the process? But just give us a little minute for us to introduce the entire faculty and all we offer, because some of these items and some of these programs you may not have actually thought about before we get to the specifics of your particular application and where it may be in the process and why you haven't heard a response from the campus yet. But once again, feel free to drop a question in the chat in the interim. Now, I generally ask at the beginning of all of my talks the same question. Why would you choose FST to actually pursue a degree of higher learning? So for many of you, let's be totally honest. I like to be very honest with my students. It really isn't quite FST that you are interested in yet. Maybe it is medicine that is your ultimate goal. That happens sometimes. Or even engineering, that's your ultimate goal. And you really haven't thought through what you can do with a science degree, other than maybe I've always been good at science. So I've always been good at science, so I'll just keep doing science. But there's quite a variety of professions that can utilize your science knowledge. And while the next few slides will give you some specifics, I also want you to think broader than just a particular program or a particular career option that you want to go through. I want you to think in terms of what does having a science training do for me as a potential employer or employee. We like to think that in FST at Cave Hill, this is the point at which you are going to learn and discover and achieve and excel and establish a number of professional connections. And we do so using a variety of methods, including visiting lecturers coming in, but also in terms of our internships. Now, many of you, especially those that are more aligned to what I'll call the physical sciences, the biology, for instance, the biochemistry, the chemistry, the environmental science, those subjects may see some word on this anagram, I'll call it just a word matchup, that speaks to you. Maybe it is a botanist, maybe it is pathologist. So something on this page actually spoke to you, and this is the reason why you're pursuing some degree in science. But for those of you that are probably a little bit more technical, maybe this slide has words that speak to what you were thinking about in terms of a career option. So not just formal engineering, even though I see that big and bold, something in the IT and computer science and software engineering and data science, maybe that's interesting. Or radiologists, maybe something to do with space. So one of these, even biomedical, maybe one of these areas is more aligned to you. Now, like I said a little while ago, I want you to think broader than even this and think about transferable skills. So for instance, if I go through the process of being trained in science, I have a unique way of analyzing copious amounts of data that really is a benefit to a wide variety of careers, even those that don't appear at first glance to be science connected. Nonetheless, this is our commitment to you. At the FST, at Cave Hill, you are going to find a community of researchers, of lecturers, of students, of faculty, of admin staff, of technical staff that are engaged in world-class scientific inquiry, research. But we're also tailoring that research along the lines of addressing some of the issues facing this region. That's not our only pursuit, but for sure, it's something that is near and dear to our heart. We commit that you will find a nurturing environment where you are pushed and propelled, and boy, do we push you to be your very best, so that when you leave us and go to other institutions of higher learning, because that often happens, or go into the world of work, you are well prepared to face what comes after. I want to indicate specifically the composition of our faculty. You will hear us talk a lot about our faculty office, or the office of the dean. And that office is literally where the dean sits. There is administrative support in that faculty office, but it is slightly to the left of the departments. The departments is where the teaching and learning occurs. In our faculty, there are really what I would call 4 general departments. They're not all called departments, but they're 4. The 2 main departments are the Department of Biological and Chemical Sciences, and we just call it BCS. It's too long to call the name each time, so we say BCS. And then we also have Computer Science, Mathematics, and Physics, or CMP. We have a relationship, as I mentioned, with the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, and they offer our meteorology program, all undergraduate as well as graduate. And then we have a Center for Resource Management and Environmental Studies, or CERMES. And I apologize, there was one other person that I was supposed to have them say hi, and that was Nitha Salai, who is from CERMES. So Nitha, if you can say hi, you can say hi now.
Hi.
There you go. Apologies for forgetting to call on you earlier. I knew I was forgetting somebody. I apologize. So how does the faculty and the departmental offices intertwine? Well, the faculty office has oversight, but there are a number of specific items, I'll call them target items, that must come through the faculty office. So when you're talking about the general policy of the faculty, or if a student wants to change their major, or if a graduate student, for instance, wants a waiver of fees, if at the undergraduate you are required to withdraw, but we won't speak that into existence, that will not happen to any of you. If you want to rescind of that required to withdraw, not going to happen because we're not going to be required to withdraw. We also handle things like overrides to some extent, or at least have oversight of that process. And then other things like our well-established locker system. And if you come on the campus now, you're going to see very beautiful, brightly adorned lockers that you can always rent through the faculty office. There are other items that we tend to take care of. Leave of absence, for instance, that comes through our faculty. And then when it comes to graduation, we are the ones that are going to ultimately, I'm seeing a tick on the screen, so that's why I paused, that are ultimately going to ensure that you have satisfied all of the requirements in order to graduate. All right. Now, when it comes to the departments are very linked, The departments are linked to the administration of the programs. The programs lie in the departments. So when it comes to developing of the programs, developing of courses, when it comes to some timetabling or making sure that the faculty and staff have all of their timetable orders, know when courses are going to be offered, etc., that generally comes through the departmental office. The departments also have all the faculty, and faculty as in small f, faculty staff, and also the advisors reside in, or academic advisors reside in the departments. You'll also see that the departments also are in charge of their own safety requirements. So for instance, in biological and chemical sciences, you have to be adorned in personal protective equipment in order to do the labs. They take care of any seminar requirements, and they also have a number of those personal protective equipment on sale. Now, I introduced you to a number of staff members before, but I just wanted to put it on a slide so that you understand how it's all intertwined. So right now I am standing as dean, and the two deputy deans that I mentioned before have two slightly different portfolios. Dr. Shane Austin, who you said hi earlier, his portfolio is around graduate studies and research. And so if the faculty came to your school, you may have seen Dr. Austin before. In addition, we also have a deputy dean whose portfolio encompasses academic affairs. So he tends to work on a lot of the undergraduate requirements and timetabling. He also works on overrides. Some of that very important work, Dr. Darren Brown is the one that helps with. Now, I mentioned those two departments before, but I wanted to make sure that we were all clear on which disciplines are offered by which department. So for instance, biological and chemical sciences really has three broad science themes or science areas. We have biological sciences, and biological sciences includes biochemistry, biology, ecology, and microbiology. So all of those are biological sciences. We have the chemical sciences, which is just chemistry. But we also have a letter that is not reflected in our name. So we have environmental science that is also in BCS. And as I mentioned before, the head of department is Dr. Scanterbury Manning. Now, I do want to point out the minor that you see up at the top. We have a new minor because all of the other programs that are in black on the screen are offered as majors or minors. But we have a minor in sustainability of the Caribbean, and that's a special program that we run with McGill University out of Canada, which is very unique. It is offered in one semester, and it has been getting a lot of traction in that program of late. I should also say that environmental science is the newest full program in the faculty. And it is becoming so popular that the numbers of students that are taking environmental science have long increased over many of the other established disciplines. So environmental science is extremely popular in the faculty. I also wanted to remind you of computer science, math, and physics. And the name only has 3 letters in the acronym, but under the C, I'm going to lump all of the computing disciplines. So computer science, which differs slightly from information technology. We also have a separate program called software engineering. You'll see it up at the top here. And in the software engineering program, that is what we call a 2+2. You spend 2 years at the Cave Hill campus, and then you travel to China to do 2 years in China. Software engineering, part of the computing disciplines. Now the M stands for math. So mathematics is offered in the faculty. And the head of department, Dr. Peter Shamey, that you met earlier, is a senior lecturer in mathematics. Dr. Skanta Marimanen on the slide before, she's a biochemist. The P is obviously physics, but embedded in there is also electronics. So we offer electronics as a major and a minor, and physics as a separate major and a minor. I mentioned that there is meteorology, not in the Department of Computer Science, Math, and Physics, but it fit nicely on this slide. So Kathy Ann, I think you can understand why it was on this slide. But as I mentioned before, meteorology is offered through the Center for the Caribbean Institute, for Meteorology and Hydrology. So many acronyms. It's always interesting to call them fast. Now, I wanted to let you know that we offer a number of what I call cross-faculty combinations. Many of our students take a major in our faculty, that's mandatory, but some of them take a major or minor in another faculty. So on the slide, you can actually see the combinations that we have with the Faculty of Social Sciences. So computer science, IT, has combinations with accounting, economics, management. Mathematics has specific combinations with economics and accounting. And every single science discipline can be paired with management, either as a management minor or management major. And I'll define what the difference between a major and a minor is soon. So for instance, in the last point, you can do meteorology and management. It might not be a combination we advise because of various reasons, including timetable, but it is possible to have that combination. Environmental science and management is a common one. Physics and management is also one that can be paired. Chemistry and management can also be paired as well. We also have a new minor as a cross-faculty combination with social sciences. And this is called the Sustainable Energy minor. So students in the Faculty of Science and Technology can take this as a minor with a science major. So for instance, physics with sustainable energy management. But students in social sciences can also take this as a minor. So they can take, for instance, economics with sustainable energy management. And we have designed the program in such a way that you take some courses in the management field, the name says it, but then we have courses in the Faculty of Science and Technology around biofuels. We have a sustainable energy systems course. We have a number of different courses. We have a physics of sustainable energy systems course. And we also have a few first-year courses that are wrapped around the areas of sustainable energy. Now, that was just social sciences. It's not just social sciences for us. So you'll see on the slide a number of combinations we have in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. So for instance, psychology is a very popular combination. Many of our students just take courses in psychology as electives, but a few do combine it as a full major or minor. We also can combine a science major with Chinese as a minor, We can do a science major with education as a minor. And those are some fairly popular combinations. We also have a few with the Faculty of Culture, Creative, and Performing Arts. And so far, it is just centered around science major and cultural studies minor. But we are looking into combining with music, in particular, IT and computing or computer science, with music. We're looking at a combination like that. It's not approved. We haven't developed it yet, but we think that that would be a very nice combination for students that have a love for science, but they want to be on the more technical side of the music industry. So we think that that is a nice way to develop out a program. And we continue to be looking for new programs. We're trying to get approved, for instance, a new food science minor. Our hope is that by September, that will be approved and on the books for taking. But we can't advertise it yet because we don't have approval yet. Now, I did want to tell you just a little bit. We're hearing a lot of words like major and minor, and you may not quite understand what it's all about. And you also may not fully grasp the way that our levels are set up. How do you transition from one level to the other? How many years do you have to be in the program, etc.? So I'm just going to give you this in a very brief way. Unlike many of the other faculties, you can enter the Faculty of Science and Technology with what we call a lower level matriculation. In other words, CSEC only qualifications. And Ms. Jordan is going to tell you a lot more about this when she speaks. At that level, if you enter as a lower level matriculant, we will actually advise you to take 2 science subjects, a semester 1 and a semester 2, which mirror or mimic CAPE Unit 1 and CAPE Unit 2. Once that requirement is satisfied, you can then transition to level 1. And level 1 has a minimum of 8 courses or 24 credits that you must complete. Once you have completed 6 of those courses, you may transition into level 2 and level 3. And at that point, you are trying to satisfy the full major, any minors, if they're 2 majors, but in all 60 level 2 and 3 credits. You also have to complete a number of foundation courses. And in our faculty, it is 3 foundation courses. And so generally, at a very minimum, in order to graduate from our faculty, you must have 93 credits. Let me be clear, most of our courses are 3 credits, a few are 6 credits. So you can start to see how you build as you go through the program. Now, I did mention that major and that minor. And while this has way more information than probably you need at this level, here's the take-home message from this slide. You can join the faculty as a single major. I only want to do as my major computer science. Now, yes, you still have to satisfy every credit requirement, as I showed you before, but it does mean that we're going to do 30 credits out of those 60 at the level 2-3. So you can do a single major. You can also do a double major. So some of you may have liked 2 areas. So you're thinking computer science, mathematics, biology, chemistry. And we will guide you through that process, but you still have to satisfy the complete requirements of 60. So you'll see something on the slide like 30, for instance, and 30 if they're in 2 different disciplines. You may also choose to have a single major and a minor. You may also choose to have a single major and 2 minors. So I just wanted you to get from this slide, not so much the numbers. The numbers will make a little bit more sense when you join us. But just to let you know that you can actually apply just to complete 1 discipline. Yes, there are other courses that you're going to have to take, at least at level 1, and you will need elective credits, but you can say, I just want to do chemistry, I just want to do biology, I just want to do physics. Now, most of our students do probably enter saying they want to pursue 2 majors, but oftentimes they downgrade to a single major or a major and a minor. And that can happen fairly routinely at the beginning of every academic year. And so we guide you through that process using our advisor system. So not anything to worry about yet, but just letting you know there are options available. I wanted to end this section by just letting you understand how your grades will be associated. So your courses will have a number of assessments, and some of those assessments are course tests, maybe assignments, maybe a project, maybe an oral presentation. Some courses even have an alternative assessment. One course I know in chemistry has things like they had to write a tweet. And of course, it was specific to the chemistry they were learning. Or in one course, there's a full science fair or science project based on a particular element. Or for other courses, they're online quizzes. So a number of different assessments, and those are totaled in order to give you a mark. So for instance, 72. That mark translates to a letter grade, and our letter grade goes from A to C. And then if you are below 50, you get either an F1 or an F2 or an F3. Too much information, but you go from A to C, or A plus, I should say, to C. And that will translate into quality points depending on your grade. And those quality points are averaged to give you a GPA or grade point average. Now that grade point average is used to calculate what class of honors you graduate with, but that tends to happen fairly late in the process. What I really want you to get from this is this part. Your performance in a given semester can allow you to access scholarships. And we have a number of scholarships in the faculty. They can allow you to access prizes like the faculty prize or being on the dean's list if your average for 2 semesters is 3.6 or above. And it's now become a very nice competitive thing for students to want to get on the dean's list. So while the details of this transition, I don't need to share with you at this point, I just want to encourage you that the better or the best way you can perform can give you access to scholarships and prizes. Now, I promised that we would talk about our social clubs because we're not all just work. Even though many of our students would say it feels as if it's always work. But nonetheless, there is a very vibrant social scene in the faculty with a number of discipline-specific clubs and societies. So I want to call on a few of them so that they could actually make their presence known at this point in time. So is Ms. Harvey on the call or Ms. Stedman?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Is it any way possible for you to actually turn on your camera? It's okay if you can't. There we go. So Gabrielle, do you want to just, Faith, if you're there, if you want to just introduce who you are, even if your camera is not on?
Okay, well, I can go ahead in the meantime
Please.
if it's having issues. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Stedman. I am the Vice President of the Faculty of Science and Technology Student Committee and a very happy student from the BCS department, a microbiology student. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and we basically represent the students, and my president will soon be on to speak more about it, but we help in student matters. If you're having issues, someone to go to, someone who can advocate for you as a student who also understands your struggles.
Thank you so much. No struggles, Gabrielle. Come on, no struggles. Faith, you were there a minute ago.
Hi, good evening. I hope everyone can hear me. I seem to have a little issues, but my name is Faith Harvey. I am the president of the FST Students Committee, as well as the FST representative for the Guild of Students. I am actually a computer science and management major in my third year. So I actually do more on the computer science side. Overall, the committee is there to help you. So for students, we are like your advocates to help you to make sure that your issues are heard. And yeah, that's a basic summary, but thank you very much for having us.
Excellent. Anyone else from your committee?
Well, yes, our ecology representative, Mr. Jared Kunkun, is also here. So he won't turn on
Okay.
his camera, but he'll say a little.
Excellent. And just before Jared speaks, we have representation for every discipline on the Students Committee.
He can go now, Dr. Baden?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. You can just speak.
Hello, good night. I'm Jared Kunkun. I'm the college rep. I basically represent the college students in any matters or if they're having trouble in any courses to help advocate for them, basically.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any other discipline-specific reps before we go to the clubs? No? You're still muted, Gabrielle.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Unfortunately, Jared was the only one who could join tonight. Sorry about that.
That's perfectly fine. I did see some representation from the Chemistry Society or ChemSoc, but was there anyone from the Environmental Club just before we get to ChemSoc?
Oh, no, I don't think Benita's here tonight, but Jared could also speak as a member of Environmental Club as the
So
executive.
Jared is ecology and also an environmental science student. Okay. So Chemistry Society? Josiah?
Yeah, I am here. Good evening, everybody. Just before I speak, I did see Benita in here, so I would just give a little 2 seconds to see if she's here, if she wants to say anything before we start.
Appreciate that.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Benita.
Hi, good evening. Well, my name is Benita. I am the president of the Environmental Club. We're recently launched club, and we really just try to, the goal is to show environmental science, the fun part of environmental science, because it's not all just school and academics. And yeah, we just try to do all different fun events, just cleanups, movie nights, flower planting workshops, stuff like that. They're very environmental themed events. That's what we try to do.
Excellent, excellent. And they're also working on the beautification of the faculty as well. So that's a big project that they're working on as well. Thank you so much. Josiah, Computer Science, Chemistry Society, sorry.
Computer science. I haven't touched that area in a very long time. Good evening, everybody. My name is Josiah Granum. I am the president of the Chemistry Society. And I will just say, all we do is just try to make things fun. Obviously, as a BCS student, things get hectic. There's always work, fun work, but still work, labs to write up. But we try in between to make sure that we have these little lab sessions, try to, bring chemistry to life, get you to see the real life application kind of thing, making things that, remind you why you loved chemistry, and tours, etc., just to try to keep up those good spirits so we all make it through together.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Anyone joining from the Computer Science Society?
Isaiah here.
Sure. I see
Hi.
you.
Blessed good evening, everyone. My name is Isaiah Carrington. I'm the president of the Computer Science Society. At the CSS, we build projects, help you fix up resumes. We really give you the experience needed to merge the knowledge you get from classes to actual real world experience. So we're looking at getting people like internships at different companies, really like buffing out your resumes, your portfolios, getting you used to like modern tools and stuff like that. So lots of fun experiences, many things to do. But yeah, that's it for us.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Met Society, anyone here? Shem was here earlier, I thought. I saw Shem.
Hi,
I believe,
good.
yeah, there he
Oh,
is.
sorry. Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yes, please. I'm so sorry. For whatever reason, my camera isn't coming on. It's saying it's not detecting it, so I do apologize. But my name is Shem Robinson. I'm the current president of the UE Meteorology Society. As our dean would have mentioned earlier, we do offer a meteorology program through a relationship with the CAMH, between the faculty and the CAMH, that is. And the Meteorology Society is really an extension of the CAMH. We see ourselves as the student side. In terms of what we actually offer our students, we do allow for our students to simply become members, engage with each other, really help each other through the program, and make some recommendations both in terms of academic tips as well as how you can bolster your resume, similar to what Isaiah would have said. Some of those additions that we allow students, help students to make to their resumes would include various internships, research opportunities, practical opportunities to work in the field, as well as getting to present at international and regional conferences. So I'm so sorry that my camera isn't on.
It
I
was
was so happy.
perfect. It was perfect.
I was so happy to show off my Meteorology Society shirt, but I can't see it now. I think my vice president, Mr. Williams, is here though. So Keone, would you be able to turn on your camera, please?
Just to show the shirt.
Yes, please. And to add a few
well,
words.
we have to see the shirt. There you
Yes,
go.
Yes, please. Good night, everyone. I am the vice president of the Meteorology Society. And of course, yes, we have shirts, fun stuff. Yeah, so as Shem mentioned, we are an academic club, so we are heavy on the internships. Yes, Dr. Singh, be soft.
We see Dr. Singh there.
Yeah, we are heavy on the internships and building ourselves academically, but we also link with the CIMH, the Barbados Meteorological Services, DEM, so that we can grow professionally. So when you do join the Faculty of Science and Technology, you are free to join METSOC. And that goes out to all of the students, chemistry, comp-sci, math, physics, because as you would see, a lot of our meteorology majors have a minor or doing a double major in another science-related field.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And last, and I hope that they forgive me, but this is clearly an older slide that I had to quickly modify. You saw me doing that, Simeon. You did see me, but there is the Math Club. It's our newest club in society. Take it away.
All right, good evening, everyone. We don't have shirts, but at least we have cool math objects that we can show off. So good evening again. My name is Simeon Green, and I am the president of the UE Math Club. The UE Math Club is a club catered towards showing the beauty of math, showing that everyone can become a mathematician. We seek to quell that notion amongst students that math is a topic to fear, that you cannot be a mathematician, and that a mathematician is only someone who majors in math or does pure math, but just anyone who utilizes math, its applications, or just has a strong desire to learn more about math and its applications. So most of what we do is showcase a lot of exciting topics related to math and helping students to see that application towards math. We also understand that if you're not doing well in math, you may not necessarily want to get into math and learn more about math. So we've also catered towards having what we consider a pioneer session. Excuse the pun.
See what you did there. I see what you did there.
And these are students, yeah. So these are students who would have excelled in the previous year, would have gotten good grades, and they actually come and assist students within that current level, provide questions and regular sessions to ensure that they can be able to remain up to date and continue with their math degree.
Excellent. Thank you so
we
much.
also have pencils. We also have pencils with pi on them.
Well, for that reason and that reason alone, we've just got to join the math club. ChemSoc and environmental. So at this point in time, I don't know if you had started at a point, but I think it might be beneficial just because it's a natural break because we're ending the undergraduate before we move on to postgraduate. So just for a natural break there, and then we can always deal with the graduates together in one lump sum. I think it's beneficial to invite student admissions to say a little bit more about the application process. And I think some of those specific questions that students may have, potential students may have. Why am I not hearing back? I haven't heard. So Mrs. Jordan, do you want to come in now?
Yes, Dean, I'll just share my screen now. Okay, let me just know if you can see my screen. Yes?
Yes, please.
All right.
Love the science.
Welcome to all you future students of the CAFIL campus, the University of the West Indies, the #1 university in the Caribbean, also ranked among the top 4% of universities and colleges in the world. Our campus covers almost 100 acres, accessed with our main campus, where you would find several purpose-built outdoor collaborative spaces for students with all Wi-Fi access. A 5-minute walk takes you to the Paradise Park campus with its world-class sporting facilities, including our student gym, the Academy of Sport, and the Graduate Studies Complex. Your life as a student of the UWI CAFIL campus will be an exciting period of advanced, active, and experiential learning, rich personal development, and preparation for the world of work. You will meet and make lasting friendships with people from all over the Caribbean and other countries of the world as well. And if you choose to, you can spend up to a year of your degree program at one of many other top universities across the world under our study abroad program without having to pay any additional tuition. Now let's take a look at the undergraduate admission requirements. Now we have 2 entryways into the university. You can either come with your 5 CXCs, which must include English language, mathematics, and 2 lab sciences. For example, biology, chemistry, physics, information technology, geography, and 1 other subject. Plus, you must have at least 2 complete units of CAPE or A levels for those who would have done their studies a little earlier, or an associate's degree with a GPA of 2.5 and above in the program-related subject. Now, it gets a little tricky when we talk about science and technology and what then would make you be considered for the 3-year program. So I just want to give you an example, and when we get into the question and answers, if you have specific questions for me, it is at that point I would be willing to take your questions. So for example, a person wanting to do biochemistry, you must have biology and chemistry at Unit 2. At Units 1 and 2 at CAPE, or would have done so at in your associate's degree. We also have another path, which is called, you hear persons talk about our preliminary, where you would come in then and do our 4-year program. Now, that would be the basic requirements then would be the English language, the math, the 2 lab sciences, and 1 additional subject. For postgraduate, and we have Mr. Ellis on the call with us. So when we go into the breakout sessions, he will be able to share more with you if you're interested in our research programs. But for our entry requirements, you must have a GPA of 2.5 or lower second class honors degree or equivalent for our certificate or diploma, top masters, and DMs. And for the MPhil, a minimum of 3.0. Whilst with the PhD and the professional degrees, there are other requirements that you must have as well. Now, the required documents for the undergraduate. And these documents are all noted on our website. When you completed your application or as you go to complete your application, you will receive a declaration page from us, which will indicate to you what is required. After you've submitted your application, you will get another acknowledgement email sent to you, to your email, the email address that you would have provided us with, which gives you these instructions as well. When we are ready now to prepare to what we would say, load your information now into our system where it is then processed, you will once again be given these instructions as to what documentations are required for both undergraduate and postgraduate. Now, I went a little too quickly. Now, for required for all MPhil and PhD applicants, you must have your research proposal, which must be 2 to 3 pages. Once again, Mr. Ellis is here and he can provide you with more information as it relates to the research proposal. But the required documentation for all applicants includes your application fee, your birth certificate, your referee reports, your CV. And for those students only who are at the 5 Islands applicants and any other non-UE applicants will be required to send your official transcript for us. And notice I said official transcript. Now what we find, and this is for both undergrad and postgrad, sometimes an applicant may provide us with their student copy. Now we can take a look at that to see, what program you would have done and so on. But when it comes to making a decision on your application, unfortunately, we need to have that official transcript. These documents are mandatory for processing. Missing documents will delay your application review. A reminder is that correspondence will be sent for outstanding documents. So even though we would have corresponded with you 3 times before, if you have not sent any documentation at all, or if you're missing anything, with the exception of the transcript where we know for sure we have to wait until you have completed before we get that transcript, we will send you further correspondence. We are also asking that you submit all your documents within the specific deadlines. Now, the submission of the documents are within the 2 to 3 weeks after submitting your application. Once you submit your application, within 2 to 3 weeks, you go ahead and you upload your documentation. Now, when we talk about a certified or notarized document, what we are talking about is a document then that is considered as a true copy of your original document. We do not want you to take your original document and have it certified. Instead, you make a copy of your original document and you take your original document and the copy to a justice of the peace, a principal, any professional who can certify a document. They certify them for you, they stamp them, they date them, and that is the document then that we would want you to upload to us. Now, we also ask that you ensure that you have a valid email address. It is very important that when you make the application, your email address is valid. Anything that we have for you will be sent to that email address. Now, tracking your application. For some of you on this call this evening, you may have already received a decision from us. You may have received some sort of correspondence from us letting you know where you are at in terms of your application. For those persons who would have made an application between November and January 31st, which was our official first deadline, you will hear from us by March the 31st. For those applicants who made applications between February and March, you will hear from us by March 31st. And when we say hear from us, you may not get a final decision to say you are not accepted or you are accepted, but certainly you will hear something, whether it is that your application is being reviewed, it has to be forwarded to another committee for consideration, we require documentation from you, anything at all, something at all, you will hear by the specific deadlines indicated here. Now, for all students, all applicants, you may be required to write what we call the English Language Proficiency Test or the ELPT test if you do not have specific qualifications. And one qualification that comes to mind is the English language at a grade 1. Or for those persons in Barbados who would have done an associate's degree, a B and above. Now, notice I said those are the two that came to mind immediately, but those are not the only two that you would be exempted from taking the test. So remember, we are not going to necessarily send this information to you again because you would have received it surely in your acknowledgement letter, in your declaration, informing you of the ELPT. And if you don't have the necessary qualifications or the exemptions rather, then you will be required to take the test. Yes, there are 2 dates and you can opt to do the test either date, but you are only allowed to attempt it once. For Barbadians, we have what we consider to be full tuition scholarship, where the government of Barbados pays 100% of the tuition for undergraduate students at the UWI. Now, the university fees, and there has been an addition to the 1080 that you see here, which includes our Pelican fee, and you will hear a little more about that when you are accepted. We will send you correspondence regarding the Pelican fee and how much it would be. And we are very, we are very proud to say that, for our Barbadian students, you're practically free in doing your studies with us. We also offer scholarships, awards, and grants, and you can qualify based on your academic performance or your financial need. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is the contact information for both your undergraduate admissions officer as well as your Toastmasters officer within the admissions office. And do not forget, for those of you who are here who are interested in doing the MPhil or our PhD programs, we have Mr. Alex with us who will be joining us in the question and answer segment. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so very much, Mrs. Jordan. I am reminding everyone that the chat is open. Are there any specific questions that you want to ask Mrs. Jordan? You can feel free to place that in the chat. We'll start to answer. But while I am giving you a moment to get those questions going, I'm going to ask whether or not anyone from CIRU wants to add anything to what Mrs. Jordan says. The Student Enrollment and Retention Unit, or CIRU, is really cradle to the grave. So from recruitment all the way to alumni is covered under their umbrella.
No, please, Dean. Carol did a complete job, so we will join her in the breakout sessions.
Great. Mrs. Jordan, there's a question about Nigeria and if admitted, the travel, very specific question. So maybe somebody can start to answer that in the chat.
Okay, we will, Dr. Badnott. Thank you.
Excellent. And if anyone else wants to ask a question and they want to unmute their mic, put their hands up. Yes, mathematics and physics Double major can be attempted. Absolutely correct. So that's yes, it can be offered as a double major. You can also take a major in one and a minor in the other, but you can do a double major, yes. If you only have, Mrs. Jordan, this is a question that I think you should answer. If you only have CAPE Unit 1s, will you get the offer before Unit 2s are completed? Are you registered to that?
Yes, now we have a regulation at the moment which speaks to CAPE Unit 1. Now, it speaks to completing CAPE Unit 1 and taking CAPE Unit 2. So let's say, for example, you're interested in doing, I'm going to use biochemistry again, and you have biology and chemistry at CAPE Unit 1 and are currently taking CAPE Unit 2 in biology and chemistry. What this current regulation does, depending on if you have a grades between 1 and 4, allows us to give you the 3-year program. It allows us to give you the 3-year program. Now, let's say you had grade 5s, however, we would not be able to give you the 3-year program at the moment, but certainly if you complete both units, we would reevaluate your application. And once you have successfully completed the units, even though you may have a 5 in either of those 2 required qualifications, we would be able to consider you for that 3-year program.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we do have what we call a waiver of matriculation requirements currently, but you must be registered to complete the Unit 2, even though you have grades for Unit 1 up to a 4, correct, Ms. Jordan?
I went reading a chat, sorry. Sorry.
So it must be up to 4.
Yes, 1 to 4, 1 to 4.
But once you receive passes up to a 5 in both, you get full matriculation for us.
But we would have to wait until you complete.
Correct.
Both. Yes, please.
Absolutely. Okay. Mrs. Atherley, I think you are present. If you are, I'm trying to also, somebody asked about whether SATs would significantly enhance chances. My response was no more than CAPE and A-levels. SAT is not held higher or lower than, it's another pathway. There's a question about from postgrad, maybe you can answer this. If a student completed the application after January 31st, but they applied before, are they looking at the March 31st deadline for a response? Probably.
All right, so let's get it clear. They started the application, but did not finish it until February. Is that what I'm getting? Because if you started it but did not complete it, you fall into the February applicants. You're not January anymore.
Good, excellent. School fees for computer science with education. So fees depend on, I'm saying, I hope Mrs. Jordan agrees, fees depend on your nationality.
That is correct. That is correct. Yes, please.
So if you're really trying to get at the fact that it is out of faculty, and if that is more than if it was just purely in the faculty, no more, as far as I'm aware. But it would depend on your nationality. And if you are a sponsored, so if you're a Barbadian student doing computer science with education, then you'll be fully sponsored by the government. How close to reality? Oh, I like that question. How close to reality is the computer science and music combination? I'd say that that is not going to be possible for this new academic year. So at the earliest, if all things align well and approval is not problematic, the earliest would be 2026-7 academic year. So that's the closest to reality. So somebody responded to the IB or International Baccalaureate Diploma. Yes, and that's great. Is Nigeria among the contributing countries? No, it is not. The contributing countries are from the Caribbean region. For those on the islands who do not have a UWI on campus on them, what should we keep in mind regarding applying? Can you give us a little bit more information on that, Daryl? What do you mean what we should keep in mind when applying? Other than the fact that you may have to move on to, you'll be moving to Barbados, you mean in that way, in terms of the cost? So you can tell us something about that. So, okay. There's some other information being shared about Nigerian nationals. Someone who wants to double major, say for instance, you have the required CAPE qualifications for one major, but not for the other. That's a great question. So for instance, if you would like to do, and I'll use the example before, which was, what was the example? Let me just use biology and chemistry because that comes to mind because I'm a chemist. And you have the qualifications for biology to go into first year. So you have CAPE biology, but you do not have CAPE chemistry. So then you would be what we call straddling year level. So you will start level 1 courses in biology, but you will have to take preliminary chemistry in order to bring your chemistry up to the equivalent of CAPE. So that's a really great question that was asked. Hope that answers. Some of the scholarships. Now we're going to see if we can get you the website. So Ms. Rollins, can you please put the website for scholarships, so the scholarship pages? Many of our scholarships, unfortunately, are not for first time entrance into the university. Some are, but many are not. Most times it is continuing students that can access these scholarships, but it is worth taking a look through to see which scholarships you could apply for. We also have our Instagram and Facebook, and we had a post where we had listed all of the scholarships that a science and technology student could qualify or that was connected to a science discipline. So we can share some of that information in the chat. Meteorology and mathematics major or handbooks are online. And we can put that link in the chat as well. So you can see the latest handbook, the handbook from the year before, and it gives you details about which courses are in which program. So that's where we can find it. Hopefully, Shane, you can start to put some of that. Dr. Austin, put it in the chat. There's also a mention of the fees. I'm also hopeful that somebody can put the link to the fees also in the chat. Now I got a direct message asking about the acceptance rate for the Faculty of Medical Sciences. Mrs. Jordan, do you want to take that, or do I just answer that this, unfortunately, we cannot supply that because this is science and technology and not medical sciences? Do you have that information?
When they say the
acceptance rate, percentage maybe of students that get in?
Okay, so we offer between 60 to 70 students in all. Between 60 to 70 students. And 25 Barbadians, the government will sponsor only.
Okay, that's for medical sciences. So just remember that's for
medical sciences, yes, please.
And that's the Barbados government. There are a limited number of places, correct?
Yes, please, 25 spaces that the government would sponsor. And then if there are any applicants who are students at that time, if they receive scholarships, then they too would be in that number as well.
Okay, great. There's a question about a missing math. Now, mathematics for science and technology is a hard requirement. Acceptance into the faculty without math is unlikely, which means that you need to do math. Moreover, if you're doing courses like computer science, the amount of math that is required is to be noted. Even if you're doing a subject like ecology, where you may be thinking, well, why do I need math? The amount of math and statistics there is to be noted. If you're doing meteorology, meteorology is not the same as geography, and therefore a lot of math is required. For science and technology, math at CSEC at a minimum is required. So this is one of those that you should go back and see if you can qualify to get that math requirement. Now, there's still some other questions, but we also have a graduate component. So I think we've answered a few, and we can still have that occurring. So we still want to answer your questions. We'll start to respond. Deputy deans, heads of department, anyone that is present, please start to respond to our students as much as we can, our potential students. And there's some specific ones with regard to their application. So computer science and economics. Mrs. Jordan, is there any reason why students would be seeing not offered, department required? Would it be about the qualifications? Would that be the likely reason? Computer science and economics.
Yes, it would be the qualifications, but the person will definitely, that means that their application has been processed and are definitely going to be hearing something from us very shortly. But what that suggests to me, without looking at the person's application, is that they do not have the requirements for that particular program.
Okay, excellent. Are international students prioritized when it comes to on campus? I think that was responded to. Thank you very much, Siru, for giving us that information. Is it possible to start with science and technology and transfer to the medical sciences after completing the requirements of this at this faculty? So just so that we're clear, it is commonplace for students after they complete what they require for medical sciences at the prelim level or year one, level one, to apply for a transfer to the medical sciences faculty. There are also a number of students that complete their full degree in science and technology and then apply to go into medical sciences. Notice my careful choice of words. It is an application for transfer. Medical sciences has specific requirements that also include co-curricular or extracurricular activities. And so we can't guarantee that completion in the faculty will guarantee your acceptance into medical sciences. It also has a requirement in terms of the GPA that you must have in order to attempt to transfer. But I'm using careful language, things like attempt. All right. Yes, you are able to do prelim and level one courses at the same time, as long as they're not prerequisites for each other. So like the example I used, you can do, for instance, prelim chemistry and first year biology, as long as they're not required for each other. The 1 year abroad or study abroad, we'll try and see if we can get that placed in the chat. So if we can get a link for that in the chat for the study abroad. Can you pursue your first semester from your home country? Is the second one also online? This is MSc for Natural Resource and Environmental Management. Please hold that thought. We're going to come to them very quickly. And I think given the number of questions that are coming with regard to undergraduate, that I will keep this chat going and we'll keep answering some questions, but I did want to do a basic presentation before I move the postgraduates into their breakout room. So you can keep asking, and I'll ask my deputy deans and heads and program coordinators to keep answering in the chat. It's physics, a mandatory requirement for meteorology is also in the chat, so if somebody can respond to that. And I just wanted to show you 3 different slides for postgraduate, and then we're going to move into the postgraduate and let Mr. Ellis speak a little bit more there. So we'll separate you in a minute. So for postgraduate, I just wanted to remind you of our offerings. So as I mentioned before, the head of department is Dr. Thea Canterbury Manning. I am dean. I serve as head of department for environmental studies, but biology, ecology, chemistry, microbiology, biochemistry can be offered in terms of an MPhil or a PhD. In terms of computer science, math, and physics, once again, the same disciplines can also be part of research programs. So research MPhil, PhD in electronics. We can have one in computer science. We can have physics. We can have mathematics. There's also MPhil, PhD in meteorology. And we actually have Andrea Seeley, who acts as coordinator, and Dr. David Farrell, principal of the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology. Now, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about the regulations currently. Remember that if you're doing a research degree, there's a certain coursework requirement. You have to present seminars, and then you have to submit a thesis. And so if it's a PhD level, you have 9 credits of coursework, and 3 seminars are expected, and then your thesis. If it's an MPhil, a smaller number of courses, so 2 courses, 6 credits of coursework minimum, 2 seminars minimum, and then submit your thesis. We have a number of graduate courses that are very general. So you will see that they tend to span very basic concepts in terms of scientific literature and being able to write that lit review, statistics course, a scientific paper, and research methods. And we're currently revising some of these courses. And so we're hoping that by the new academic year, you'll see slightly different courses that we think are a little bit more fit for purpose. Now, I leave you with this slide because this is a good segment to take us into the breakout rooms for postgrads in particular. But just to let you know that we do have a few MSc programs currently on offer, most of them residing in CERMES. So we have natural resource management, and Nita can speak to this a lot better than I can, but under certain concentrations. So you can have a general natural resource management, natural resource and environmental management MSc, or it can be specific concentrations in climate change, in water resource management, in land management and environmental resilience, and a coastal stream, which is tropical coastal and marine resource management. We also have an information technology MSc, and on the books, we had a biosafety MSc that was offered in the Department of Biological and Chemical Sciences. We are updating that program, and so we're hoping to launch a modification of that soon. Now, what's not listed here is a sustainable energy management, and when you get into the breakout room, you can also ask Mr. Lai about that particular program. So we are going to start some breakout rooms. I think the one that we can definitely launch is the one that would allow the graduate students to go over. And then there may be some other questions as well. So the general questions we'll still continue trying to answer. We don't want any questions to go unanswered if possible. But Lisa Ann, are you ready? Or do you want me to do the breakout rooms? Tell me how.
You can go, Dean. They're all set up.
They're set up.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on my site, so you would have to launch them.
Launch it now.
Okay. So if you are, can you name the breakout rooms? We have a breakout room for the Department of Computer Science, Math, and Physics. We have a breakout room for the Department of Biological and Chemical Sciences. If your question has not been answered, you can just remain here for a minute while we get that question answered before you move over. If anyone is interested in meteorology, CIMH has a breakout room. Postgraduate programs, CERMES in particular, present. So if anyone wants to have a talk about graduate programs, Mr. Ellis, you will join that group and you'd be able to share some specifics. We also have, if you want to speak to any of our student leaders, we have a group for them. If you want to speak to the dean or deputy deans, we can be here as well. And then I'm going to ask the Graduate Studies Postgraduate Program. Is there any way that you can, let's move that or merge that with CERMES just for the time being, so that Mr. Ellis doesn't have to go between two. So if anyone is interested in any postgraduate programs, I'm going to ask you to go into the CERMES postgraduate program breakout room. And if there's any other information that you would like, you can remain here, and we want to make sure that we have answered all of your questions. Right. So we're just checking through. Dr. Austin, do you want to go? Dr. Scantleman Manning, if you're still here, are you going to be able to stay and go into the BCS group?
Dean, I can also
shortly. Okay, so Dr. Austin, if you can help in that group as well.
Yeah, I can head to the BCS room. That's fine.
Excellent. And I'm just going to keep trying to make sure that we've answered all the questions. If there's any question that we haven't answered, please flag it for us so that we can get it all done. And so I think we answered that one. So I'm going to put some thumbs up if I think we've done that. So I've answered that one. Yeah, I've answered that one too. Coming down, I think we've answered the one about if you don't have the requirements for both majors. Scholarships. Mr. Simon, I hope you've seen the list of scholarships. If not, put it back in the chat if you can, because we want to put the information on scholarships. All right. We'll check and see if the scholarships are there, and if the handbook is there, we'll go back at that. Okay, great. Question, will the acceptance of a student depend heavily on the GPA from the previous college? So Griffith, I'm just checking to see if she's still here.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yes, great, excellent, thank you. So once again, it is difficult for us to say exactly what will happen as you apply for medical sciences. So we cannot say with 100% surety, but I do know that your GPA will matter in order to, your grades and GPA will matter along with other components, such as, like I said, those extracurricular activities, the age, there's an age limit for medical sciences, etc. But I can't say for sure where they will cut that off. I do know that for students who want to transfer, we're usually told a number around 3.5. Okay?
Thank you. Dean?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to say, because at first I couldn't find how to get into the group that I'm supposed to be in. So for those students that are looking, you have to scroll down the list and then you will see the various subheadings.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Scroll all the way down. So Ms. Griffith, did that help a bit?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm coming down the list. Scholarships for non-nationals, that's a great question. I hope that that was, yes, the scholarship criteria are there. Some of our scholarships just generally are for contributing countries. Some of them are specific for Barbadians. Some of them are as specific as from a particular region of Barbados. But quite a few of the ones in our faculty are for contributing countries. So students in contributing countries, Caribbean countries are contributing countries. Hope that answered that. Is there a way to contact a student? To contact a current student? Kamala sounds like a female, so I'm hopeful that I'm saying Miss Mars. If you're still here with us. Is she here still? Camilla Mars? Okay. But yes, you can absolutely contact a student. That's why the student reps are here. So you can go into the chat and ask them. Math and MET is viable, yes. The handbook is listed in the questions. Someone asked me, let's see if anybody's here that can answer that. Miss Jordan, are you still with me or did you move? Pending faculty decision means that the qualifications are usually not perfectly as aligned, and so the faculty is going to make a decision as to whether the acceptance is granted. Information about housing is possible to transfer, postgraduate programs, status outstanding. I'm coming down. Breakout rooms are there. Yes, you can in respective regional working. Okay, so natural resource management, hopefully he went over. Ross. Hi, Akela? Ross, are you still here?
Please.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
Akela, yeah.
Okay, hi, KYK. So the requirements for computer science include mathematics at K.
Okay.
Yeah, so computer science requires really pure math at K. So one of the ways in which you can work around this is that you will come in, you can take, let's say if they give you a computer science acceptance, take that acceptance, take the prelim math in order to get the math qualification. And once that is completed, you can ask for a change of major to add economics. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Excellent. Miss Mitchell, is she still here? Let's make sure there's no one into. All right, I need to go over to computer science in a minute. Year abroad, the semester starts the last week of August, if that person's still here. Vishala, if you're still here. Yes. The last week of August, you need to come to orientation. So you need to be on island in order to go and attend orientation. So that's when the semester starts the first week in September. Teaching starts then, but orientation is expected. So those are the specific dates.
Okay, and Miss?
Yes.
I was wondering if I'm staying on campus, right?
Yes.
How soon would I have to come, like before the semester starts?
So that is a very good question that the ladies from CERU would be best placed to answer.
Okay.
So there's usually a deadline. The faculty unfortunately does not know that.
Okay.
But I don't want you to go away without getting that information. Okay. So we'll see if we can get that information and pass it back on to you.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'll join a breakout room.
Absolutely. You can start by.
Dean.
Yes, please.
The answer to that question, for those who've secured accommodation on the halls of residence, the halls of residence communicates directly to the students, and there's a specific hall moving date for both semester 1 and 2. It is usually
the Friday before the official start of the academic year or the semester. So if our semester begins, let's say, for example, the last week in August, the move-in date should be the Friday before, usually the Thursday or Friday before the semester begins. But they will communicate that directly to all those who've secured accommodation.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that.
And Dr. Badnoch,
Yes, please.
Carol was asking if you wanted her to come back over in your room because
I appreciate that. If she could do
It's
that,
so
that would
fun
be
with her.
great. Then I can go
Okay.
to, that would be wonderful, and I could go to physics.
All right.
It's that's math and physics. I just wanted to make sure that everybody got, if you have to do the proficiency examination, but you had deferred a year, you didn't do it at that time, can you do it this year? Mrs. Greenford, can you answer that one?
Sorry, I was reviewing the chat. What was the question?
If you have to do the proficiency exam, but you deferred, can you take it now?
Once they have not, remember the rules for the proficiency test is that you can only take it once. So if they didn't take it before and they deferred the offer of a place having not taken the test, yes, they
Yes.
can and they would be eligible to still take the test at this time.
Excellent. That's a great
Once
question.
once they register and pay to take the test.
Excellent. My question wasn't answered, but I will move to it, breakout room, and answer that. Scholarships for the MBBS program. So once again, this is not the Faculty of Medical Sciences, so we can't speak to that. We can speak to what's for the Faculty of Science and Technology. One person asked quite quietly, did not do physics, but would like to apply to MBBS. Should I apply to there to try my luck or start with science and technology? And then attempt to transfer. Well, you can always make that attempt. Let me see if that person's still on the call. Yes, still at the call. So yes, you can technically try to the MBBS. It's unlikely. Their requirements are very specific, so I urge you to find out what their requirements are. You can apply to 2 programs, or you can apply to the Faculty of Medical Sciences as your choice number 1. You can still say choice number 2, Science and Technology, so that would take care of that. Hope that answered that question. Waiving postgraduate fees, that person I hope has moved over. Great. No, our courses to everybody are not online. So it's an in-person degree. And so for a first-time applicant, the expectation is that you will take those courses in person. Studying IT and management at BCC. Don't meet the computer science, but took the chance and applied. Focus on it. Let's make sure that person is still on the call. Not quite on the call. I'll see if I can get that responded to. Oh boy, I don't feel as if I'm getting age limit for medical sciences, 18. Environmental science. The exact requirements for environmental science. 2 science subjects. Usually the recommendation is biology, chemistry. It's not the only one. Let's see if that person is on the call still. So environmental science requirement, 2 science subjects relative to the course of study. Most students do chemistry and biology. Those are not the only 2 combinations, but that's usually what it is. It doesn't have to be biology and chemistry, but it's 2 science subjects. So not as specific as, let's say, like a physics, which requires physics and math. So I hope that answered that question. Will you be able to enter the science with CSEC onlys? And I will do, what would that be like? So let's check and see if that person's still here. If you enter with CSECs only, you're effectively doing CAPE, an entire CAPE unit in 3 months, in 1 semester. So we would take CAPE unit 1's equivalent is prelim 1. So that happens in the first semester, and CAPE Units 2 equivalent would be in semester 2. So you're taking 2 years of CAPE and condensing it down into 1 year. Hope that answers that question. Semester.
A hand raise.
Please. Go ahead, Serena.
Could you please repeat what you just said? Because I think you're answering my question.
Yes, I am. I absolutely am.
Yes, could you repeat it one more time, please?
1 second.
Thank you.
Okay, so you asked about CSECs only. So if you have CSEC only, you're going to enter into the 4-year program. And so the 4-year program means that you have to take a preliminary year, which is the equivalent to CAPE. So we have a first semester course that is equivalent to CAPE Unit 1, and a second semester, which is equivalent to CAPE Unit 2. So let's say, for instance, you're doing physics at prelim, you do prelim physics 1, which is equivalent to CAPE Unit 1 in physics. And then second semester, you do CAPE Unit 2 or preliminary physics 2. So you're taking a 2-year CAPE program and it's condensed into 1 year. And somebody asked about the time period of a semester. The teaching period is around 12 to 13 weeks. And then we go to exams. So 12 weeks, exams.
So if I'm doing biology and chemistry, then I'll be doing biology unit 1 and chemistry unit 1 in semester 1 and 2 and 2 in semester 2.
No, we don't call it unit, but everything else is correct. Yes.
So the number of courses that I'll be taking per semester would be how many?
So generally we would just have 2. Sometimes depending on how you progress in the first semester, we would advise you to take a foundation course. I mentioned that there are foundation courses you have to take. But you start literally by just doing those 2 courses. And even though it feels like it's just a little bit, there's 6 credit courses. So a whole CAPE in 3 months.
Yeah. So is that advisable for?
It is advisable. It is one option. It's not the only one, but it can be done. Students do it all the time.
So then that will be the preliminary year, and then I will start my 3-year degree program.
After that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Did anybody go into computer science, math, and physics? Yes, the head of department is there. Great. Let me see if I have to answer any others. So somebody applied for biochemistry and chemistry, but only did chemistry. So it's going to be a 4-year program because biochemistry is going to require biology as well. So you would do first year chemistry because you have your CAPE chemistry, but you do prelim biology. I hope that answered that question. Yeah. One more question. How do you sign up for the English examination? That information is there. Register online. Environmental science. Yep. 2 science subjects. The follow-up question was about increasing chances if you do CAPE environmental science. Honestly, not one way or the other. If you have biology and chemistry and your science subjects, equal likely of being accepted versus if you have environmental science. What the challenge is, if you have environmental science, is there's a number of elective courses that you're going to have to take if you're doing that program. So it's usually advisable for students to have a biology or a chemistry. If not, then we advise you to take one at prelim in order to be able to access some of the other chem specific or biology specific courses that make up the environmental science program. But acceptance shouldn't be a problem with CAPE environmental science. I said 18, so that's good. 3, okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Jordan. You're answering questions for me. I appreciate that. Were there any questions that I didn't answer? Yeah, I think I answered that one as well. And I answered the question at the end about having to do biology. So quite a few people still stayed here. Was there anything specific that you wanted from the department's breakout rooms? Was there anything additional? Give me 1 minute, I'll return. And thank you, Ms. Jordan, for remembering about the environmental science and biology at CSEC. Thank you very much for bringing that in again. Okay, any other questions? Thanks for your patience. Dr. Austin is still in the BCS group if you want to be there. Dr. Shami is in the computer science, math, and physics group if you want to go over there. Anybody interested in meteorology, that group is still open. CERMES, also there. And then the student leaders, in case you want to hear anything more from the students, to hear how the programs really are, to get a feedback, there's the student leaders or reps are also in a group just waiting to have a chat with you as well. So, I think it's a Miss Humphreys. Mrs. Jordan will respond to that question about the date shortly. And also Romario, I think what mentioned earlier is a certain number of weeks initially that we are asked to submit. So you want to know the deadline for submitting documents? We ask that you get them in as quickly as possible. And then the question, one of the students that this happened to does possess pure math and passed it, what then? So I can't speak to that specific case without knowing a little bit more detail about that student. And I don't think Mrs. Jordan can actually speak on it if she doesn't have the name of the student and the exact information in front of her. But if the fundamental question is, can a student do computer science and economics? Yes, they can. So that can happen. Was there any other questions that we didn't respond to? Okay, resubmitted. So I'm hoping that Mrs. Greenford, you can answer the best way to request housing. Okay, this was a question related from Miss Ross, was related to a student that did not get into computer science, I believe. Miss Ross, are you still here? You can always unmute your mic and just remind us of the question, if you can.
Yes, I'm still here.
Please, go ahead.
Yes, I was asking if a student does pure math, comp sci, and econ, but the same thing happened to him about saying department no longer offered or required department not offered. What is it then, like, what's the issue for him? Because he also wanted to know, but he couldn't join the call.
Okay. Did you understand that, Mrs. Jordan?
Yeah, so what CXCs does the applicant have?
He has math, English, both English. He did IT, he did physics, geography, and a couple others. I can't remember the two.
And he has pure math at K. And
Yes.
what's the other one?
Economics.
And he
economics, physics, and economics. Comp sci, economics, pure math, and physics. He did 4
subjects. And pure math, comp sci, and economics.
Yeah. He did 4.
But based on these qualifications, that's why I don't want to speak without having the documentation in front of me. But based on these qualifications, you need English, math, 2 other science subjects in addition to pure math, and 1 other subject to be considered for computer science and computer science first, as well as computer science and econ. Because these programs are within 2 disciplines, the applicant would need to be fully qualified. So I would like to see if it is that we said, you need to, that you're qualifying rather than not qualified at all for the program. So if you can provide me with the person's contact information or the person's name, if you can direct message me so that I can take a look at the application and then certainly reach out to the person tomorrow.
My laptop had died. Can you repeat what you said?
Sorry?
My laptop had died, so I had cut out. So can you repeat what you said?
That. If you could provide me with the person's, if you could direct message me the person's name. I wouldn't want to say the person's name, want you to say the person's name in front of everyone, but if you can direct message me the person's name, let me take a look at the application, because what you're saying to me, this would qualify the person for entry consideration for this program. So I need to see what kind of correspondence we would have indicated to the applicant, whether it is that you are qualifying and we would, once you've completed both units, we would consider the application for comp sci and econ and give you comp sci for the time being, or what the case may be. So I would like you to direct message me so I can take a look at the application, please. Aliyah? Akiela? Sorry.
Yeah, I will do that now. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
No problem. Thank you.
So asked about being a demonstrator. To speak to the dean just to be sure she knows it's possible for that. So it depends, Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. Are you what would be your program? If you're present?
It would be MSc in Natural Resources and Environmental Management.
Yeah, so we generally do not give demonstratorships unless it's an MPhil or PhD. And you said MSc, correct?
Yes,
so
please.
The priority is usually given to MPhil PhD students. And with regard to Dr. Scantlebury Manning, her demonstrators would only be for students that are actually registered in programs in BCS. And the same thing for computer science, math, and physics. And then the faculty office would administer any demonstratorship, that would either be for environmental studies students in both programs, since environmental studies is under the faculty office, or CERMES-based students, but MPhil PhD gets priority. And there are limited numbers, so there's always no guarantee. Hope that helped.
Yes, please. So just to be sure, it would not make sense to try to get a demonstratorship because it's usually for MPhil and PhD.
So whenever a student tells me it doesn't make sense to do something, my first response is, well, what would it hurt to try, right?
Okay. Okay.
What would it hurt
So
to try? But it's usually for MPhil PhDs. But what would it hurt to try?
okay, so I would have to contact the faculty office then since he'll be with CERMES.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good. Okay, so application status saying on hold. No. Mr. Alexander, let's see if I get you. Did I miss that? Yeah, they're standalone programs. I think Mrs. Greenford answered quite well. You can take computer science, you don't go to China. If you take software engineering, you are expected to go to China. There was another student who said, potential applicant, who said I didn't answer their question. Was there another question that we missed? Adefunke? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Adefunke? I hope I got that right. Did I answer the question? Did we answer the question?
No, please.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So I was asking about Nigeria, that if we get admitted, how do we come down to Barbados?
So the question is, if you are admitted, how do you get to Barbados? Is the question that's being asked?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mrs. Greenford?
Hi, good evening again. We have found that for our Nigerian applicants, they may have multiple options to travel to Barbados if they are successful with the application, but quite a few of them usually have to obtain a transit visa to pass through another country on their way here to Barbados. If a transit visa is required, you notify our admissions office. There is a specific visa officer there who will be able to provide you with the necessary information to support your request for the transit visa to come to Barbados.
So, please, the transit visa, will the school provide any information about the transit visa to apply for the visa, because they want to see information from the school?
Mrs. Greenford, did you hear that?
I'm sorry, I was here speaking. I told him I'm saying that I will place the email address for our visa officer and the admissions office in the chat for him, that he can communicate with them directly to get that guidance he requires.
Okay. Great. That's wonderful. Are there any other questions? We've had some very good questions. Any other questions anybody wanted to ask? It's quite a few that did not go into the breakout rooms. Quite a few. I'm just checking through to see if there's any others. And quite a few that were in CIMH. Quite a few that are in CERMES. All right, everybody. Everybody's going to join shortly. But just in case you didn't get a chance to go over to any of the breakout rooms, some questions that came up. Students were asking, or applicants were asking about internship opportunities. So I just wanted to share that with you, that we do have internships for every single program major. There's an internship course. So you can get 3 credits and a summer internship. Most cases it's summer. So we have placements in companies like Lens Tech and West Indies Rum and Harris Paints at one point in time. And computer science, math and physics, there's a lot of internships in banks, not banks, Bury, actual commercial banks. And they're looking to build out more every time. We're also looking to figure out if we can reach out across the other countries and territories. And if you're from another island, can we arrange an internship on your island and get the 3 credits here? So we're working on that. In 14 more minutes. And then students were asking me once again about doing level 1 and prelim at the same time, once they're not prerequisites for each other. Yes. All right. Is everybody returning? Did you have a good conversation?
I got kicked off.
Yeah, we had a good conversation. I flitted in between. I only got to 3. I didn't get over to you and CIMH, Kathy Ann. But you had a roaring group over there, so I hope it was a good conversation. Did
Yes,
we
it
answer
was.
most, if not all, of your questions? Good conversation, some people said. Good conversations. That sounds good. So where do we go from here? Well, if your application is not complete, that's our first priority. Let's get the application complete and submitted. And we're going with a strong belief that we have everything that we need, and we're going to put in that application. We have some scenarios, there will be first acceptance, no problem. And in some cases, there may be a second choice that is given, with the understanding that should you get further qualified, you may be able to change your major. So keep that in mind. It is fairly commonplace for students to transfer across faculties, fairly commonplace. I sign off quite a bit every year. So I like to say where you start and where you end is not always the same. When I went into a few of the breakout rooms, I was reminded, or I was hearing conversations around the subjects that like you. So you may start off liking a particular discipline, a particular subject, and what do you know? You are performing the best in this adjacent subject. So I remind you to like what likes you, figure out how you can incorporate that into a great career opportunity. But no matter what, remember that we have transferable skills. So really, we can do everything. I like to say that we can do all the other disciplines with some training. It's a little harder for somebody else to do a science discipline. So you're in an enviable position. How do you get in contact with us? So what if there's some additional questions? So we're going to put some emails in the chat. And Lisa Ann, if you can start to guide that process, just in case you want to have another word with us. So in the chat, you would see quite a bit of information about how to get in touch with Cyril. And we also have, and I'll put it up on the screen again, I just want to share our social media with us, with you, sorry. Share our social media with you, I apologize. So I just want to make sure that that one's up there. So how do you get in contact with us? Hopefully you can see it. So those are our faculty telephone numbers. Now that is specifically about the academic programs. So if you want to hear more about that, you can contact us at any of those numbers. 4310 for 4310 or 4311 or 4312. Our email address works very well, so fst@cavehill.uwi.edu. And in particular, we're very active on Instagram, so please like us. And if you do like us, put a hashtag. So let's see if we can figure out a hashtag for today. Open Day 2025. So if you do follow us on social media, tag us and in your response and say Open Day 2025. We are hopeful that you join us come September, but we're here in the interim and beyond to help with whatever we can. Let us know how we can help you. We're here to ensure that you progress into the UWI and progress with a degree at the end. So Peter has raised his hand. Dr. Shami, last words from you.
Yes, Dean, could you please just put back the link for the students to the handbook? We had quite a few as I was being kicked off that breakout room. The students, it was in the chat, but the students didn't know one. So I think some of them may not have gotten the opportunity to get the
There
link.
we go.
Thank you very much.
There we go. It's back there. We're also, and you'd also see that we're on WhatsApp. So look in the chat and you'll see some other email addresses, the faculty office email. We respond to email, but we're also, like I said, we're also on social media. So we also respond to DMs. Now, sometimes there may be a delay. It's just about the volume. We will get in touch with you as soon as we can. So thank you very much, Lisa Ann, for placing that. Any final words from student admissions and Cyril? Final words from you?
We just look forward to welcoming each and every one of you to our family of excellence.
Excellent. And Althea over in Cyril, or Ms. Atherley, if she finally joined us, if she was able to join us. Anything from Cyril?
Do not be strangers. Please pop by and say hello when you join us.
Excellent. Lovely. CMP, head.
We look forward to meeting you. Please feel free to write to us in the meantime. I'm seeing Mr. McIntosh's hand up. And as Carol said, we welcome to talk to you when you join us.
Excellent. Before, I think the head for BCS had to leave. So Mr. McIntosh, if that's a Mr., do you want to ask your question now? Your final question?
I had one last question.
Miss.
Sorry, my application says pending CXC. Can you tell me what that means?
Ms. Jordan, pending CXC says what it sounds like.
I didn't get that. Sorry.
Pending CXC.
Pending.
The application.
If we're seeing pending CXC?
Yes.
Yes, it suggests what we were saying. So whatever it is that you're outstanding in terms of a particular CXC, that will make you eligible for consideration. So that if that is what you're seeing on your document, and if it is that you do have it and you did not submit it to us, please use one of the links that are available and upload it as soon as possible.
Excellent.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry if it was obvious.
No. That was an important question that we're happy to answer. Final words from the deputy deans. Dr. Austin, anything from you?
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if Dr. Brown is still here, but what I wanted to say is just I hope to see all of you here joining. I love this bit that you have there. You belong at the UWI. You belong being a Blackbird. So come and join us.
Absolutely. Mr. Ellis, anything from you? Graduate studies?
Yes, Dean. Well, I noted that there were few MPhil PhDs, but however many, we are always happy to answer any additional questions. You can write to us. I don't think you posted our email address, but it's postgrad at cavehill.uwi.edu. postgrad.uwi.edu. Post.
We can get that sorted.
So yes,
Yeah,
please.
we'll get that in the chat in a minute. Postgrad at. So somebody
Yes.
can write that in the chat as well. Thank you, Lisa
Or
Ann.
I think there are two of them, grad research at KFL as well.
Grad research, that's coming as well. Thank you very much. Kathy Ann, anything from meteorology before we wrap up?
Definitely welcome. I welcome all the questions and great conversation that I had, and really looking forward to welcome you all on the Kayville campus. And I can just put in a little word for Suro and the application process, having my daughter go through it. They really do answer all your questions, and just follow the instructions, and it really helps. So thank you for that.
Thank you, wonderful. Nita, Termes is important to us.
We had a great conversation, so I would just say again, bounce me. If you go online and even type in Cermes UE, you will find us. And any questions, any queries between now and when you apply to when you graduate, we'll keep asking and talking and answering those questions for you.
Excellent.
So that's it.
Great, wonderful. And then I think the only ones left would be Lisa Ann, our admin assistants, Miss Brown, Miss Rollins. Any final words?
Hi, everyone. Just looking forward to meeting you all in August, and welcome to the FST family.
Excellent. Ms. Brown?
Welcome. We welcome all of you to the FST family, and we know you will enjoy your time here with us. So get those applications in quickly.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So it really was my pleasure to host this session. Thanks to all that were involved. But thank you for your questions from the applicants. They really were some very robust questions, had us thinking, and some unique scenarios that we wanted to work through. There's some other sites that are being placed into the chat. So you'll see the BCS website. We have a faculty office website and one for CMP, one for Cermes. We can even link CIMH website. So our website is very robust, a lot of information you can find there. And we're always just a Google away. So please reach out to us if there are any challenges. The information is on the screen. Let us know how we can assist. Let us know how we can get you to become part of our family. And if not, I will see all of you come August. We said this, the last week of August is orientation. So be back here to join us at the beginning of August. Have a good night, everybody. Before we leave, Ms. Rollins, tomorrow's session, do you want to just update that very quickly about what's happening tomorrow?
Yes, please, Dean. Tomorrow we're going to have a series of class sessions, some 15-minute sessions. You will find all of that information available on the CRU's website for the open week. All the links to all those sessions are available on that page. I can share the link in the chat for everyone shortly.
Excellent. And then tomorrow morning, we have some of our clubs and societies are going to be on Morning Barbados, just talking about their programs. So that will be great. And then Dr. Austin on Wednesday.
Yes, Dean, I'm happy to tell all of these prospective students about the activity we're having on Wednesday, which is going to be an alumni engagement activity. So you'll get an opportunity to hear people who've actually been through the process of completing an undergraduate, or in some cases, even a graduate degree at the KFL campus in the Faculty of Science and Technology. We have persons who are a podiatrist. We have the director of the Barbados National Standards Institute. We are trying to secure someone in the discipline of meteorology to come and join us. We have persons who are involved in the environment and in environmental work as well. So we really have a set of persons we like to bring from both governmental, private sector, organizations, and even students who might be pursuing further study, so that you can see what is possible with these first and even postgraduate degrees.
Excellent. That's going to be a good
So come on and join us Wednesday, 6 to 8.
Always good fun. Always good fun to have for us to see where our students end up. Quite a number of students. This is our 40th anniversary year. And so in those 40 years, we have really produced excellent alumni. But if you do want to join any of the classes that have the taster lectures, please do so. There's a question of a mummy, it seems like, about whether the taster lectures will be recorded and posted later. Lisa Ann, did we do that last year? Is that something that we could do? Yes. The answer is a hearty yes. But please reach out to us if there's any other questions that you have. That's a good one, after they've been edited, for sure. But please reach out if there are any other questions. We thank you for spending a couple of hours now with us. Thanks for everyone who made the call. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'll see you in the taster sessions, and we'll see you back on Wednesday for the alumni engagement. Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.